The Auburn Tigers travel to Norman, Oklahoma looking for their first SEC win of the year, and nobody is giving Hugh Freeze's squad a chance. Can they get it done? Let's discuss it on this live edition of the Uptempo podcast. Let's go. Good evening to my Auburn family. What's up to my Uptempo gang, man? Friday night live show. We don't do these often because I'm usually at a high school game, but there's just nothing really, nobody even close to me that's currently committed to Auburn. Not a lot of big high school games going on in the area this week that I live in. So we're just chilling at the house, and I figured why not go ahead and tap in and do a live show for everybody, man. So I know that this was quick. I literally just posted this like 5 minutes ago. So might be a late arriving crowd. I see some of you following it now. Do me a big favor, man. If you have an X account, I put this tweet out. Go ahead and like that tweet, retweet that, let people know that we are live right here talking this week 4 showdown, baby. Auburn versus Oklahoma. Super, super fired up, man. Like the video, smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. Y'all know all that good stuff. Get into the comments. Tell me where you're watching from. Woo! This one's going to be big, y'all. This was going to be big. We talked about that Baylor game being a swing game. We knew that if Auburn got that win versus Baylor, kind of looked ahead to Oklahoma and said Auburn should handle their business. We wanted to get out of those next 2 games with Ball State and South Alabama relatively healthy, and I think Auburn's done that. The only person that appears like he won't play tomorrow will be Jay Crawford. Everybody else, Damari Alston should be returning to the lineup. Chance Anthony will be returning to the lineup. Xavier Miller was taken off of the questionable list. He'll be good to go. So yeah, man, Auburn relatively healthy. A good week for Alex McPherson. He continues to make his field goals in practice and hold food down and put on weight. So all good things, man. If Alex could be good from like 40 this week, that would be big time for Auburn. I think this is going to be a close ball game. I've said that all week. You might just need your field goal kicker, huh? You might need your most accurate kicker out there. So hopefully Alex can get to where he's good from 40, maybe 45, somewhere in that range, because it's a very strong possibility. Auburn might need him. So all in all, man, I think I'm like really happy with where Auburn is on the injury front. It's one of them things that you can't control. But Auburn has done a good job. Auburn probably could have beat Ball State by more. Auburn probably could have beat South Alabama by more than what they did. But Hugh kind of chose to take the conservative route, keeping guys like Damari out. There was just no point. You knew you could win those games, man. And if you follow the NFL at all, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers are literally down to their practice squad 2 weeks in. So sometimes the injury bug just bites you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Right now, man, Auburn's really healthy. So knock on wood, I feel good about where everybody's at. And I think that Auburn's about as healthy as you could ask for coming into week 4 here to kick off SEC play. So, and I know Oklahoma's got some injuries, here and there, but it doesn't appear like, all in all, I think most of their guys are going to be able to go as well. So I think we're going to probably get the best of both these teams here. And let's start there. I want to start with the 6.5 point spread. I've seen it kind of go up to 7.5 and back down to 6.5. And just the narrative that is built all week long that Auburn's coming into Norman, Oklahoma to get blown out. I don't see anybody giving Auburn a chance, right? And what I've really seen, all the people that are making these predictions and saying Auburn has no shot, is people continue to bring up Auburn has not stretched the field vertically. Auburn has not had a deep passing game. I talked about this on my episode Thursday with Ike. I don't know what to make of it yet because Auburn hasn't had to do that. I know Auburn has the receivers to do it. Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, Malcolm Simmons. I know those guys can stretch the field and take the top off of a defense. But Auburn just hasn't had to do it. There was no point in doing it versus Baylor because you were running it down their throat. So why would you try to force something? Same thing versus Ball State and South Alabama. You really didn't need to do it. And on top of that, their defense made it very clear, we're not going to let you do that. I think Oklahoma will be the first team that has the ability to stop the run game from Auburn, and they're probably going to set out to do that, right? Like if you were Brent Venables, what would you do? You would say, I'm going to shut down the QB run with Jackson Arnold. We're going to make sure that Singleton doesn't get loose on those sweeps. And then obviously you got Jeremiah Cobb and Damari Austin to worry about. So I think Oklahoma has the personnel and the coaching staff to make Auburn one-dimensional, and I anticipate them attempting to do that. So I don't have the answer yet. Can Jackson Arnold stretch the field? He hasn't had to do it. 4 weeks in is kind of crazy, but Baylor played Auburn the way they played Auburn. What can you do about it? Personally, I was happy and proud that Hugh Freeze stuck with it. That he said, no, we're not going to get into, we're not going to try to force anything. And he's talked about that, right? He's talked about it in multiple pressers this year. He says the defense just keeps giving us these looks. We keep taking us what they give us. That's the RPO game. They want to give us the run, we'll take the run. Jeremiah Cobb averaging well over 5 yards a carry. Jackson averaging well over 5 yards a carry. Damari had a solid game versus Baylor before he hurt his shoulder. So I like everything that we've seen from Auburn's offensive line. And obviously, Jeremiah Cobb is really stepping up and having that breakout year that Hugh Freeze predicted. And the big difference to me in Auburn's offense so far from last year has been the red zone. It's been very efficient. It's been very, very clean in the red zone. So when you get into the red zone tomorrow versus Oklahoma, obviously you've got to make the most of those opportunities. And if you have to come away with 3, you need to take the 3 and come away with a 3. Like, let's not try to force anything, right? If Auburn's in a game early, or say maybe Oklahoma scores first and it's 7-0, and then you go down there and you're Auburn's offense and you kind of stall out, don't force it, man. Kick the field goal. Keep playing the game. Just take the points, because I fully anticipate this to be a 4-quarter game. So that's kind of one thing I'm looking at is I don't want to see Hugh. Like, there's no reason to get too cute. There's no reason to coach yourself out of this game, right, in the way that you did last year versus Oklahoma. There's no reason to do any of that. Let's manage our timeouts well. Let's manage the end of halves well. Situational football. Manage all those things well, because it's going to be a rock fight, guys. This narrative that Auburn's just coming into Norman tomorrow to get blown out, it's football. Anything could happen, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. And I think that if people continue to put out power rankings and have Auburn like 13th, 14th, I saw one that was the top 12 quarterbacks in the SEC, and Jackson wasn't in there. And I'm like, okay, I get it from the standpoint of you got to kind of see Auburn do it to believe it. But so far, man, I don't know how you can watch these two teams play and not think it's going to be a close game. And again, so many people just writing Auburn off as if there's no chance. And I'm just not buying that. I'm going to stick with what I said all week. I'm going to give a prediction on this game at the end of the show. But Auburn is I'm predicting Auburn's going to win one of these next 2 games, whether it be tomorrow or at A&M. And if I would have asked you guys before the season, will you take 4-1 going into Georgia? You're eating the wrong kind of mushrooms if you would have said no, right? Like, obviously we would have taken that. So I fully expect Auburn to split. Like, if Auburn loses to Oklahoma tomorrow, I'm predicting Auburn to beat A&M. My confidence in this team is starting to build. And I know some Oklahoma fans might be tapped in and you've never listened to me and you think it's like super homer. I'm actually really, really objective. I take a lot of shit for being objective from Auburn fans. Like, I don't predict Auburn to win every game and that kind of stuff. I predicted a 7-5 season before the season. Lost subs, all kind of stuff for that. But I think these are 2 good football teams. And again, like I discussed with Ike, I think it's more and more college football, especially the SEC, is become any given Saturday. And that's always kind of been a saying, right? But there was times, man, where for a long time of college football, you could just pencil it in. Bama's going to win this game. Georgia's going to win this game. A team like Oklahoma, who's been one of the most winning programs in my lifetime, you could pencil in. They're going to win this game. Like, those days are changing. You look at the current 5 stars in the 2026 class, they're committed to all kind of different teams. It's not the same 4 programs stacking those guys up anymore. Then with the portal and everything else, this game, like college football, has just become, the parity is more so alive than ever before. And I don't look at any of these games really in the SEC unless it involves like Kentucky or Mississippi State or somebody. And Mississippi State might be better than we thought they were. None of these games I look at and say that team doesn't have a chance. So this whole narrative that like Auburn is just getting off the bus to get blown out. Again, it could happen, but I would be surprised if that happened. And I think there's just been a little bit of disrespect. I think people, I love Josh Pate. I think Josh Pate is a giant in the game. Okay. I think he's the best in the business. Got mad respect for him. I told him that at SEC Media Days. But listen, he talked about Jackson Arnold's pass chart and how there's nothing deep over the top. There hasn't had to be anything deep over the top. Now, if Oklahoma forces Auburn to do that tomorrow and Jackson's not able to do it, then okay. Then that's a narrative that we can discuss. That's something that we can talk about moving forward. But through 3 games, Auburn hasn't had to do that. And that's one thing that I want to, say about tomorrow is you got to get Cam Coleman involved, and you got to get Cam Coleman involved early. You got to feed 8. Let 8 be great. Feed my guy. Let Cam Coleman do his thing. Malcolm Simmons, it's been quiet this year. It's time to go off, baby. It's time to make a couple of big game-changing type plays. We know he has the ability to do that. Auburn just hasn't had to. He had 3 possessions in the second half for South Alabama, and they were all like vanilla and quick, and you just didn't have the ball a lot, and you felt like you were kind of out of running backs type thing. You didn't have a lot of running backs left. You had Omar Mapson, a true freshman out there, trying to get him some carries to spell Jeremiah Cobb and let him get some rest. It just felt like Auburn was trying to get out of that South Alabama game without any more injuries and just get out with the dub. Like, you just haven't seen a whole lot from this Auburn offense because you haven't had to. You're going to have to tomorrow. You're going to have to hit some shots over the top. In any kind of game like this, you're going to get a couple opportunities to make big plays. If you're Auburn, you obviously have to capitalize on those. If you have Cam Coleman wide open for a big play, you got to hit him. Like, we can't miss on those, right? And turnovers. Auburn's done a great job of protecting the football. Only 1 turnover on the season. That's got to continue. My keys to the game. 1, feed 8. Feed 8. 2, you got to stay ahead of the chains. Auburn's done a great job all year because they've been able to run the football of staying ahead of the chains. You haven't had Jackson Arnold in 3rd and dangerous. It hasn't been a thing. You've been in 3rd and short, 3rd and medium all season, and that's perfect for a guy that is dynamic like Jackson. You saw it on the 4th and 5 for South Alabama. He's able to keep the play alive long enough with his legs. Good pass protection from the O-line, and eventually they can't guard Eric Singleton that long. And you're able to get in the ball, and it's a nice big play, and ultimately Auburn's able to go down and score. So staying ahead of the chains, 3rd and short, 3rd and medium, even if it's 3 yards on 1st down, that's better than no yards. 2nd and 7, 2 or 3 more yards puts you in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, right? Like it's just not every play is going to be a home run. There's not going to be a lot of home run plays at all on a Brent Venables Oklahoma coach defense. So you got to take what's there and just stay ahead of the chains, man. Keep those sticks moving. Don't try to get too cute. Don't try to get too dangerous. And if that Oklahoma defense is going to force the Auburn offense to air it out a little bit, well, this is why you went and paid $1 million+ for Cam Coleman. This is why Eric Singleton's making $1 million+. This is why you went and paid Jackson Arnold the money that you went and paid him out the portal. This is why you made sure everything was good with Malcolm Simmons before he got on, before the season started. For this moment right here, because now you're at a point to where you're going to have to make some things happen through the air. And so when those opportunities are there, we got to hit them. Protect the football, stay ahead of the chains, and when your opportunity to make a big play is there, you have to hit it. Listen, I was shocked when I read this today, but I'm going to read this. This is from CBSSports.com. Auburn has not defeated a top 15 team on the road in 11 years. The last time Auburn defeated a top 15 team on the road was Ole Miss in 2014. Y'all remember that crazy game where the wide receiver broke his leg and all that at the goal line, and Auburn comes away with a wild dub? It was a shootout there in Oxford. That's the last time Auburn has beat a top 15 team on the road. That's got to change. It's got to change. So I understand the point spread. I understand if it's been 11 years since you've beat a top 15 team on the road. I get the public. I get the college football world saying, show me something, Auburn, because you haven't done this in a long time. But on the offensive side of the ball, the way to make that happen is obviously you can't go on the road and turn the football over. But Auburn has been very patient on offense. Hugh Freeze has been very patient in his play calling. It's got to be more the same. Jackson Arnold, they know you, right? Like Oklahoma knows him. They know his game. They know what he's going to do. So I don't think you're going to see Oklahoma really like out of position and making a whole lot of mistakes. They will make some mistakes. And again, you've got to capitalize on those. Defense, you got to get after John Mateer and continue to shut down the run. Because of the way the Baylor game played out, Baylor was kind of in a position to where they had to throw the whole game. They were always, not always, but for the majority of the game, they were down, right? So Baylor, and just with Sawyer, like with their quarterback and Trigg at tight end and their receivers they have, why wouldn't they air it out, you know? And then I don't know what you make of Ball State, and I don't know what to make of South Alabama. Hugh was actually kind of disappointed in the run defense for South Alabama. He felt like the defense didn't fit the counters very well. He was very vocal about that in the postgame and in the Monday presser. But all in all, this Auburn run defense has been one of the best in the country. So small sample size. How much of that has just been the opponents that you've played and the way those games have played out, and how much of that is like, no, actually, this defense can shut down the run. I think it leans more towards this defense is good at shutting down the run. I think 12 quarters is a good sample size, or large enough to know that, like, they're solid at it. Are they as good as the numbers say right now? We'll find out. But if you're Auburn, you need to shut down the run and force John Mateer to beat you, right? He's a great quarterback. He is the only quarterback. I want to make sure I get this statistic right. He is the only quarterback in Division I football that is averaging 300 passing yards a game and 50 yards rushing. So John Mateer is a dog, right? Like, he can make things happen with his legs. He can make things happen with his arm. Like, he's a dude. There's no question whether he can stretch the field. But there are some turnovers there. And this is going to be Oklahoma's first big test too. So I watched the Michigan game, and in the same way where I still have a bunch of questions about Auburn, and not questions in like a negative sense, but just like I haven't had to see that yet. I watched the Michigan game, and Bryce Underwood, in his first ever road start as a true freshman for Michigan, was never going to stretch the field versus that Oklahoma defense. Okay? And Michigan doesn't have the wide receivers to stretch the field like that. They don't. There was no threat of Michigan stretching out Oklahoma's defense. So Auburn has the receivers to do that. And Oklahoma hasn't been tested in that way yet. They might be able to do it. Like, they might be that good. Venables, I had nothing but respect for his defensive acumen, all that stuff. I think they got a great D-line. I think they got really good personnel on that side of the ball. It's, I've said all week it's a race of 24, right? Like, I'm predicting a rock fight. But if you're the defense, you got to get after Mateer. You shut down the run game first. You force Mateer into obvious passing situations. And, man, if he throws an interceptable ball, you got to pick it off. In the same vein where last week, Jared Smith gets a big sack fumble and Auburn falls on the football. When, like, South Alabama scores, that's a one-possession game at the start of the fourth quarter, right? And Jared Smith steps up, creates a turnover, and Auburn falls on the ball when it's on the ground. When those situations present themselves Saturday, Auburn has to make the most of them. Shut down the run game and force Oklahoma into obvious passing situations and make John Mateer beat you. And he's capable of doing it, right? This is no shade at him, but you can't make it easy for him if you're the Auburn defense. You can't have, in the same way I just said, Auburn's got to stay ahead of the chains. Same thing for Oklahoma. If they're in 2nd and 3 all night, Auburn's cooked. Auburn's cooked if Oklahoma's in second and short, third and short all night long. You got to shut down the run and make Oklahoma one-dimensional. And there's still a challenge with that because, like he's averaging 50 rushing yards a game. Mateer can make things happen with his legs, but you kind of see that gunslinger in him, and he might throw you a couple balls that you can intercept. And if you're Auburn, you need to make the most of those. And when you create those turnovers, if you do, you better get some points. So if you're this Auburn defense, that's what I want to see. I want to see you shut down the run, and then there's a whole lot of Heisman hype around John Mateer. And I'm not saying that he's not good. All I'm saying is I got to see more before we start talking Heisman. Again, I'm not saying he's not that good. He might be, but I've got to see more. So if I'm Auburn, I don't want to make it easy on him. Force Oklahoma into obvious passing situations, allow Keldrick Falk, allow K'Ron Crawford, allow those guys to pin their ears back and get after him. Make it a tough, physical, rock fight of an SEC football game, man. Those are my keys to the game. I'm going to get into these comments real quick before I give my prediction. Again, we're not live on Friday nights like ever. So please share this out on social media. I see you guys talking about it in the comments like we're live right now. Yeah, I just popped in and did it, honestly. I was at the house and I figured let's pump one out. The weakest link says nobody has given Auburn a chance, and they seem to think J.A. can't throw the ball. I'm with you. And this is his time. Like, here we go. This is your time to prove it. And what better opportunity to do it, right? Going back to your old school, your old team there. Get Musty says, War Damn Eagle, let's go. I hear you, baby. Thomas Manville in the house. My dog Thomas, what's up, buddy? Says War Eagle from Leeds, Alabama. Y'all know Leeds. There's some Auburn greats from Leeds, Alabama. Devin is in the building like she always is, supporting the podcast. She says War Eagle. Devin Ephesians is watching from Seams. Let's go, baby. Watching from Seams. Pumped up for tomorrow. I am as well. Get Musty in Chattanooga. Let's go, baby. From Chattanooga. Beautiful city up there. Home of the Chattanooga Mocs, the UTC Chattanooga Mocs. Love the Mocs, man. I've been to that university a couple times and had some like basketball camps and stuff like that back in the day. Love Chattanooga. Beautiful city. I actually lived there for a few years when I was like 2 and 3 years old. I don't remember it, but, my family tells me we were there. Zach says, I am headed to Oklahoma when I get off. 10 and a half. Are you driving, Zach? Oh, we driving, baby? If so, man, be safe. If so, be safe. And, yeah, man, hope you have a good time out there. Taking it play-by-play wins it for us, says Thomas. 100%. You're not going to win the game in the first quarter. And I watch all these college games, and I'm like, what is going on with coaches going for it on 4th and 3 from the 17-yard line in the first quarter? Down 7. Kick the field goal. Make it 7-3. Keep playing the game. You might get a pick six on the next drive, and then you would be winning 10-7. But instead, you went for it, didn't get it. Now it's 7-7. You see what I'm saying? I'm with you, Thomas. Take it play by play. This is going to be a close football game. Points are going to be important. And Thomas, you've been watching me for years. You know my philosophy on taking the points. Take the points. Just take the points. Lawrence is here. He says, I need Auburn to come out on 4 wide receiver sets. We can spread these guys out. Love that. Yeah, man. I mean, you haven't had to do it, right? Auburn hasn't had to do a whole lot of that. Kind of forced it versus Ball State. Arnold was 24 for 28 when Auburn could have probably won that game by more if they just ran it down Ball State's throat all night. But they wanted to work on that kind of stuff. So, and I like what we saw in that game, but what do we make? What do we make of the Ball State Cardinals, right? But yeah, I'm with you, and you're gonna. I think Lawrence. I think Auburn's gonna be forced to do that. I think Oklahoma's not gonna do what Baylor did. They're not just gonna stay in too high all night and let you run it for 300 yards on them. That was idiotic. I don't know what Dave Aranda was doing. So yeah, I mean, I think you do see some of this, Lawrence, because I think Oklahoma forces you to. Brett says, War Dan, Brett, longtime supporter of the Uptempo podcast and a good friend of mine. Glad you're in here, brother. Hope you had a good week at work and you can just sit back this weekend and watch the football, baby. Temple hit a seam route on OU last week. Noted. Hit Malcolm Simmons on that seam route, huh? Malcolm Simmons had a big seam route catch versus Baylor. We got the speed. We got the guys to do it. Like you said, we have the guys to spread them out and hit those kind of plays. Steven says 1 pass rush for Auburn where it's been. 1 pass rush for Auburn where it's been. 2, can Auburn pass to win the game? 3, can Auburn secondary cover? And I think he meant take Oklahoma. Or tackle. I think he meant tackle Oklahoma. Tackling's a big question, Steven, for sure. The tackling has been piss poor for Auburn in the first 3 weeks, particularly week 1 and week 3. And that's just obviously got to improve. Oklahoma's got the best athletes that Auburn's seen so far. And yeah, I mean, if you got a guy tackled for a loss of 1 on a wide receiver screen and he somehow gets 15 yards down the field like we saw last week, it's going to drive me nuts. And we just can't have that. So yeah, and without Jay Crawford, what does that look like for Auburn? Blake Woodby going to step up and get some more snaps. You've got Strader there. You've got Pleasant there. Eric Winters and Fagan's coming along, having Champ back. I know those guys are all safeties, Champ, Fagans, and Winters, but you can move those guys around. Do you have to do some of that? Like, what does it look like, right? What does the secondary look like without Jay Crawford? That's a blow for Auburn. I sure would like to have Jay versus not having him, but I think that Auburn is deep enough in that room to overcome it. You just have, if it's Blake Woodby getting a significant amount more reps, is he ready? Is he ready for the moment? Same thing with Winters and Fagans. They're all going to be great players. This is also going to be the biggest game of their careers. Brett says, I think our people have given the outside world the narrative that Jackson can't throw. It's not that he can't. We just haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I'm with you. And again, I'm not saying that Jackson can for sure make the downfield throws and he can consistently stretch a defense over the course of 12 games. I'm not saying that. I'm also not saying he can't. Everybody in this chat, we've all watched the Auburn games. Most of us are psychos, and we watched every game 2 or 3 times already, right? Auburn, like you said, Brett, you haven't had to see it. You haven't seen it because you haven't had to see it. Can you do it? And that's why, again, I think Auburn came out in the first half versus Ball State throwing the ball all over the place when they easily could have just ran it down their throat because they knew this moment was coming and they were trying to get prepared for it. So we're going to find out tomorrow. And again, it's not, listen, I know we don't want to hear this on the eve of the game, but tomorrow is not an obsolete. There's a world where the Auburn offense goes into Norman tomorrow, struggles. Auburn loses 21-14, 20-17, 24-17, something like that. And everyone's going to, oh my God, and freak out. And then the next week you go into A&M and beat them. Like and the offense looks fine because I think that A&M defense is cheeks. That's a very feasible thing. It could easily happen. So what if Oklahoma has the best defense that Auburn's going to see all year? And what if it's just a tough road test? It's a tough SEC slugfest type game, and Auburn's offense just doesn't make the plays. That doesn't mean it's going to be the case for the rest of the year. And y'all know I'm not moving the goalpost, bro. I'm not moving the goalpost. Okay? I said all summer that if Auburn beats Baylor and gets to 3-0, Auburn just needs to win 1 of those next 3 to get to 4-2 at the halfway mark, and we'll be fine. I know everyone's freaking out over Vanderbilt. I'm not. They're better than I thought, sure. But I'm not impressed. Not to the extent that everybody else is. I don't think Virginia Tech's that good. South Carolina, okay. Even if Auburn just gets 1 of these next 3, I still like the back half of the schedule. Respect to Missouri. Hardy's a beast. Auburn beat Bama since 29. I know everything that goes into that. But again, I ask you, would you have taken 4-2? If before the season you take it or leave it, 4-2. Auburn, there's a world exists where Auburn just wins 1 of these next 3 games and still finishes 8-4, 9-3, and has a great season. So, and I've been on that since May, so I'm not coming off of it now. But obviously, on the eve of the game, I want Auburn to win tomorrow. Karen is here. War Damn fam, Karen, always in the building, always supporting the podcast. I appreciate you for sure. Lawrence, we need this, baby. Lawrence says, I think Reddick shows up tomorrow. I'm putting the call out. DeMarcus Reddick, where you been? Caleb Harris, where y'all been? My freshman phenoms who were supposed to take this massive step coming into their sophomore year. Where y'all been now? It's time to see something, right? It's time to see something. I hope you're right, man. If Reddick, he could be the difference. John Mateer averaging over 50 rushing yards a game. That's why you have DeMarcus Reddick, right? Make something happen now. Let's go. That's your job. That's one of his main functions, to shut that down. I hope you're right, buddy. Brett says, I think OU will shut down the run. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be their defense is going to show up tomorrow and say, okay, Auburn, you won't run on us. Right? Now, let me tell you something. If Auburn lines up tomorrow, if Auburn lines up tomorrow and runs the ball down Oklahoma's throat, then I'm going to start the bug, as they say, on the Up-Tempo podcast, is going to start turning up, win or lose. Like, if Auburn runs the ball successfully tomorrow, because I think Oklahoma might be the best defense Auburn's going to see the rest of the year. If Oklahoma sets out, if Brett Venables sets out to shut down the run, and Auburn's still able to do it at an above-average rate, I'm going to be looking at the rest of the year very, very optimistically. Richard says, up-tempo. Let's go, Richard. What's up, baby? Glad you're in here, buddy. Let's see. Let's get some more of these comments before I give my prediction and let you guys get out of here and get to your Friday night doings. Brett says, seemed like Michigan ran 4 or 5 plays over and over. It's because they had a true freshman, bro. They had a true freshman at quarterback. Like, yeah, they did. They did. They had to kind of run the few things that Underwood was comfortable with, right? And they also don't have – Michigan's receiver core is really disappointing. Based off of the success that they've had over these past 5 years, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that they don't have more in that wide receiver room. Them in South Carolina. I don't know how South Carolina wasn't able to acquire wide receivers this year with Lenore Sellers as their quarterback. If I was South Carolina, I'd have been dropping bags in the portal to get a couple of wide receivers, right? Like I'm glad he's on our team, but if I was South Carolina, Horatio Fields would have been a Gamecock, and I would have done what I've had to do to make that happen. Now, maybe he wasn't interested in that, but I'm just saying, like, you have Lenore Sellers over there. So, and so to the point of Michigan, like, I don't know, Brett. I think that's all they had. That's all they had. Oklahoma hasn't been tested either. It's 2 3-0 teams that still haven't been tested in certain ways. We're gonna learn tomorrow about both of these teams. Maybe, maybe. Like I said, Auburn could get beat and then come out next weekend versus A&M and light it up and whatever. Karen says, yeah, Brett, just got the notice. Yeah, for sure. Look, I mean, we don't do the Friday Night Lives a lot. You guys know mostly I'm at the high school games, but like I was going to go see Jace Matthews this Friday. Jace Matthews is out for the year with a knee injury. And Peyton Falzone, I wasn't going to get to watch Peyton Falzone all the way up there in Pennsylvania. But Peyton Falzone also suffered an injury. 2 of Auburn's big-time recruits from the 2026 class are out for the season. So Jace Matthews, Peyton Falzone, praying for a speedy recovery for you guys. I hate that your high school year had to end that way. It sucks. But, yeah, man. And this is why we have the game day group chat for the members, right? Because I can get in here and send it out to you guys and let you know that we are going live kind of impromptu on a wing. I was just playing the Xbox, and I was like, man. And also, I'll tell you all this, for the members, not going to have the members live show tomorrow on Saturday because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of stuff happening in my yard. Got some landscapers coming over and all this kind of stuff. So there might be lawnmowers going off and all that. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and get in here tonight and get the content up, man, and give everybody some time to watch it tonight and watch it tomorrow and all that. And I would be very upset if I came out here in the morning and started going live, and then there was lawnmowers out in front of the room here, and you guys weren't able to hear me. So it's kind of one of those things. But I'm glad that you guys were able to eventually get the notification and tap in. Let's see. Lawrence says that O-line shakeup could cause some false starts against our D-line. For sure, man. For sure. I hope you're right. Keldrick Falk, Kayron Crawford, it's time to eat. Richard says, I never get notified anymore. YouTube's awful about it, buddy. YouTube is awful about it. They sent me a notification this week, like on my content creator thing, saying that the impressions on my videos are down. People are not seeing my videos, and I'm like, it's just up to y'all to show them, right? It's up to y'all to show them. I have videos coming out that only 800 people are seeing, and we've got 3 times that amount of subscribers. It doesn't make much sense. So yeah, I mean, I know how it works, Richard, and I appreciate you being in here, buddy. YouTube it'll send me notifications for podcasts I listen to like 3 days after they've gone live, and it's like, okay. So yeah, YouTube's just bad about that, buddy. Let's see. White Boy Slick says it could easily be 45-3 OU. Easily, huh? Okay. I couldn't disagree more. Like it's football. It could happen, but easily. No, I mean I could say it could easily be 30 or 45-3 Auburn. Yeah, I don't know, buddy. I don't know about that. They do gotta play football for sure. So we'll see, but he also says you guys should hire the guy to take the place of the guy. Hey man, Charlie 5, and those are my boys. Shout out Charlie 5. Shout out Daryl Dappers over there. But look, I do try to be optimistic, or I should try to remain optimistic, but also be much more objective is the word that I was looking for in my content. So, but I love those guys over at the barn. I'm not saying anything bad about them. And I appreciate that you are enjoying the content. Brett says our defense is more of a bend but don't break style like we had under Gus and Steele. Yes, for sure, buddy. Yeah, I mean, this is a big thing like me and Ike talked about, right? Where Ike said ultimately it's just about the points that you give up. That's the whole goal. So we don't like the way Auburn played versus South Alabama, but also they gave up 15 points, and that's kind of the goal. So if you're going to bend versus John Mateer, if you're going to bend versus South Alabama defense, or excuse me, if you're going to bend versus Oklahoma offense, then you need to be able to ultimately keep them off the board, hold them to the field goals, all that kind of stuff, create some turnovers and all that. So I don't want to see a lot of bending, but you are right, Brett. That's just kind of the way that it all goes. Ephesians says, Brett, I think it will be Sly or Atkins. Yeah, need a big game from Sylvester Smith for sure. He had the great game versus Ball State. He had the great game and then a not so good game the next week. And then same thing with Atkins. I think Atkins played fine last week, but we need to see more of that Ball State performance for sure. Any more comments before we get to our predictions? It says, I'll hit you. Yeah, for sure, buddy. I mean, listen, this is a toss-up. I'm about to get my prediction, and I'll be real with you guys. I've been solid 24-21 Oklahoma in my head all week, right? All week I've been 24-21 Oklahoma in my head. I really have been on this thing where I'm like, Auburn loses a close game this week and then goes into A&M next week and gets the dub, because I'm not buying A&M at all. Watched that Notre Dame game and I was like, I ain't with it, right? So we'll see. But 45-3, if it happens, White Boy Slick, you can come back here and call me an idiot, because I don't see that. Butch says, Dustin, hit that like button. Best Auburn content. Hey, thank y'all. Thank y'all so much, man. Please hit that like button. Sub to the channel. All those good things. And Butch Fly, you have been very positive in the comments lately and supportive of the show. You're always here. Thank you. All right, prediction time. I want y'all's predictions in the chat. If you're watching on replay, leave your thoughts in the comments as well. I just said I've been on 24-21 all week, Oklahoma, right? But until I see my Tigers lose, baby, I ain't doing it. I'm not predicting my Tigers to lose. until I see it. And you know what else? 11 years since Auburn's beat a top 15 team on the road. That's a ridiculous stat. It's pathetic. Auburn should be embarrassed by it. That goes back to Gus. That's the majority of Gus's tenure, truthfully. That goes back to Gus. That goes back to Potato Man. And Hughes got it on his watch as well, right? So there's no excuse for that. No excuse for it at all. Okay? 11 years? You got to end it tomorrow. And if you're Hugh Freeze, you got all the juice in the world. Because they give the home team 3 points. That's what they always say. Vegas says, we give the home team 3 points. So it's at 6.5 last I checked. So neutral site, you're saying Auburn, that Oklahoma's 9.5 points better than Oklahoma? Or Oklahoma's 9.5 points better than Auburn? Excuse me. I ain't with that. And again, I don't know how many teams are 9.5 points better on a neutral field than any other SEC team outside of Kentucky and maybe Mississippi State. This conference is going to cannibalize itself. I'm standing by that. There's going to be a massive jumble of 9-3, 7-5. Not only do I don't think there's going to be one SEC team that goes through without 2 losses. Seriously. I don't think there's one SEC team that's going to go 11-1. I don't. I think the parity in college football is more so than it has ever been, at least pre-Saban going to Bama and effing everything up, right? And every week it's just going to be, it's like I said, it's like the NFL, man. It's more about matchups. It's more about any given Saturday type thing. Anything can happen. I don't see like favorites. Really, I mean, who's going to win the SEC? It's just so up for grabs, man. So Brett says, I think it means, listen, maybe I'm not a gambler. Y'all know that. I don't really, but it's just the point being the narrative that is going around all week and about Auburn. Hughes got ammo. Hughes got fuel for the fire. So there's no excuse. Like, you got to be pumped up, man. If you're Auburn, and look, I'll say this before I get out of here. Y'all know I haven't got into the clickbait about arguing with Oklahoma fans all week because I don't think it really exists, right? Like, this is not a rivalry. You can't make me hate you type thing, okay? I'm going to continue to say this right here. This year, Auburn plays Baylor, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Missouri in the same season where Auburn doesn't play Ole Miss, Mississippi State, or LSU. I think that's asinine. If I was college football commissioner, that would never happen. Auburn playing more former Big 12 teams than they are teams from the state of Mississippi or Louisiana. I think that's goofy. In terms of teams that I hate, Oklahoma doesn't crack the top 15, okay? I hate Georgia Tech more than I hate Oklahoma. But it is Auburn's next game up. I'm going Tigers, 24. Oklahoma, 21. And where you at? Because I'm going with this. I'm with my guy Lawrence. McPherson for the game-winning field goal. And I believe my guy Daryl Dappridge, again, shout out to Daryl Dappridge. Again, shout out to my guy C5, a.k.a. Kyle Rush, a.k.a. C5. I believe it was Daryl. I was listening to him the other day. He predicted Auburn to win on a McPherson field goal. I'm going with that as well. How good of a story would that be? How good of a story would that be, man? For sure. Definitely, I'm with you. I'm going Tigers 24, Sooners 21. Got to protect that football. If Auburn wins that turnover battle, I think we're in there. John says, war. Bleep, Eagle. I can't demonetize myself. I can't demonetize the episode, John, but I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Let's see. And this is the ultimate thing. Thomas says, I don't care if it's 3-2, just get the dub. Everyone hates the 3-2 Mississippi State game. Do y'all hate it that much? I thought it was a defensive masterclass. I thought that game was beautiful. That's one of my favorite Auburn games of all time. I thought we played good defense that day. I don't know why everybody hated a 3-2 Auburn versus Mississippi State game so bad. All right, man. Look, that's gonna wrap it up. Again, hit that thumbs up button, sub, all that happy stuff. So the Oklahoma fans that are in the chat, appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for being respectful. Yeah. So I will be on the post game tomorrow for the Warport. Might actually pop on C5's live stream as well. So just stay tuned to the socials at DMcShaw28. Y'all know the deal. I will post everything that we got going on. And then the game plan is to do the live show at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning with Nick, like we've been doing. So y'all be sure to tap in. Then the weakest link says this has been identical to week 1 going into the Baylor game. I hear you for sure. Our guy White Boy Slick, AU fan getting here saying good show, man. Appreciate you, big dog, for sure. Butch Fly says, thanks, Dustin, War Eagle. Man, love you guys. Thank y'all for tapping in and spending your Friday afternoon, or a little bit of your Friday afternoon with me anyway. Love you all. War Damn Eagle, God bless. I will see you guys on the Warport post-game show. And then we'll be right back here Sunday, 9 a.m. Central Time. Hopefully doing our 4th victory reaction show of the year. But if not, remember, I'm telling you now, don't you hit that panic button. Don't you hit that panic button. Because in this day and age of college football, hey, you can lose a couple games, guys. You can lose 3. And again, I think the SEC cannibalizes itself. Dustin is the new beast. Appreciate you. Appreciate you for sure. We're definitely trying to do big things over here at the Uptempo podcast, man. So all the love and support that I've been getting these last couple of weeks, last like 2 months from you guys, really, the numbers are off the charts. I just can't thank you guys enough. Y'all know my goal here. We always got the Auburn lean. We always try to stay objective and keep it real, though. And I'm glad that there is a portion of the fan base out there that wants to tap into that kind of content. So, War Damn Eagle, everybody have a good Friday night. Let's be back here. And shout out to all of my Auburn content creators. Make sure you tap in with my guy C5. Make sure you tap in with my guy Dale Dappers and everybody over there at the barn tomorrow. Make sure you tap in with, obviously, my guys over at the Warport. Ike, Mike doing the pre-games, the post-games, the halftime shows, all that stuff. Make sure you tap in with those guys. We are very lucky as Auburn fans to have all the talent that we do have in this media space. So appreciate all the love that I'm getting from you guys. Make sure to go and show everybody else love as well. That's all love from my end. War Damn Eagle. Y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all Sunday morning. Let's go, man. Hey, 4-0. Let's get it. Let's get it, Hugh Freeze.